Hello everyone, this is part 23 of What If Naruto Was Trained by Anko, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. After that, the girls grilled Anko about how they got together while the men congratulated Naruto for landing one of the Seist Kunoichi in Konoha. They continued to talk and eat for several hours before they had to get ready for the funeral service later that day. They promised to meet each other there and went to their respective homes. When Naruto and Anko arrived at her apartment, they still had some time left, so they cuddled on the couch happy to have each other. After resting a bit, Anko told him that she was going to get a shower while Naruto picked out his clothes for the service. He would have to be presentable when the Sandaime announced his heritage to the village. He went over to his closet and started going through his clothes. Finding a long-sleeved black shirt, he grabbed it and put it on the bed. Next he found a dark blue pants with he thought would go great with the dark shirt. On top of his shirt he would wear a black jacket. All in all, he looked quite handsome in all black, but seeing as this was a funeral service, black was the only color acceptable in his mind. Anko stepped out of the shower feeling somewhat nervous for the events later on, the funeral she could deal with as she didn't know any of the fallen shinobi. She was nervous about the announcement of Naruto's heritage and what the consequences could be like for them. She was a little worried about how the townspeople would react after hearing that the Kyuubi brat was none other than the Yondaime's son. Naruto's reputation had changed quite a bit after his battle alongside the Sandaime, but it wasn't to say that everyone loved him or respected him. That would be impossible, as changes like that need time. She stepped into the bedroom and saw Naruto standing fully dressed, and she had to admit he looked great in them. Seeing him standing there, she unconsciously licked her lips in desire, but she shook her head saying that there wasn't time for that. She quickly opened her closet and grabbed her dark dress and nodded. She didn't like wearing such clothes, but for a funeral she only wore this. It was a beautiful dress that wasn't too revealing but still stylish and somber. After getting dressed, she stepped outside the room and saw Naruto staring at her. She smirked, loving that she could have such an effect on her lover. After both of them got ready, they left for the Hokage Tower where the service would be held. The tower had enough open space to allow the village's shinobis to gather. The funeral was only accessible to shinobi and family, so that was more than enough space. When they arrived, they saw that the other were already there waiting for them. Nodding to everyone, the shinobi silently made their way over to the front so that they could pay their respects to those who had fallen to protect Konoha. Almost every shinobi had or would have to come to such a ceremony, so most of them knew what they had to do or what would happen. When everyone had gone forward, the Sandaime slowly got up and walked to the front of the podium and looked at those present. Our village has suffered a great loss, a loss that will be felt for years to come. In the attack on Konoha several days ago, we didn't just lose several shinobi, we lost husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, sons and daughters. Each of the shinobi had loved ones that they protected by paying the ultimate price. They fought not only for this village but also for those gathered here today. We will miss them greatly, but we will never forget them. They are heroes and thus should be honored as one. Sandaime started his words. They have shown us what it means to be a Konoha shinobi, and I for one could not have been more proud of them. Fallen heroes of Konoha, I thank you. He finished while bowing deeply to the coffins, making everyone gathered there do the same. The rest of the ceremony was spent in silence as one by one some of the family or friends of the deceased came forward and spent a few memories with the crowd. Soon the service came to an end and Sandaime asked them to gather at the town's main square for an important announcement that concerned the whole village. Wondering what kind of announcement this could be, they all followed the crowd to the main square. When they arrived, they saw that a lot of people had gathered there already. Anko and Naruto were asked by an Anbu to follow him to see the Hokage, making the rest of the group wonder what was going on. Kiba, Shino, Hinata and Kurenai smiled knowingly, already figuring out what was going to happen next. A half hour later, the Sandaime finally made his appearance at the stage, silencing the crowd. People of Konoha, were gathered here today after Konoha suffered from an enemy attack. We lost some good people to the attacks and we have sustained lots of damage. Yet I stand here before you knowing that we can get through this together. We will not succeed to our fears and grieve, but we will strive to once again rise up from the ashes like a phoenix. We will show the world that Konoha isn't some weak village, and to do that we will work together like we always have in the past. Together we can overcome anything that comes our way. Together we will show them what it means to be from Konoha. Sandaime shouted to the crow, and slowly but surely the crowd answered with cries of agreement. I have more news that will rock Konoha's very foundations, and for that I ask that you be patient for a little longer. For almost 14 years I have kept a promise to keep a secret. This promise was made to our beloved Yondaime Hokage Namikaze Minato. The time to reveal the contents of that promise had come. The Sandaime said into the microphone so that everyone could hear what he was about to reveal. The people gathered were already talking amongst themselves, wondering what the secret from the Yondaime could be. Many of you know how Minato was married, but not a lot of people knew who he was married to and that his wife was pregnant of his child. The night of his death, Yondaime asked me to keep this information secret until his child was old enough to protect himself and those he loves. Sandaime paused for a few seconds. Minato feared that if the knowledge of him having a child would become known, then his child's life would be in grave danger from his former enemies, and I believe he was correct. The child of Konoha's Yellow Flash would be a prime target for assassination, thus I kept quiet. I watched Minato's child grow up from a distance and saw that just as his dad before him became a remarkable shinobi of the leaf, willing to risk his life to protect the village and its inhabitants, something he proved during the attack on our village just a few days ago. People of Konoha, I would like to introduce to you all, the son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. Please step forward. Namikaze Naruto, formerly known as Uzumaki Naruto. Sandaime spoke loudly. Naruto stepped out of the shadow dressed in his usual outfit but with his Chunin vest on and faced the crowd. He bowed to the Sandaime and then to the people in front of them. The crowd was shocked into silence. Nobody could utter a word at the revelations. They could hardly believe that the one many people saw as the Kyuubi brat was none other than the Yondaime's son. This had to be a joke or something. People started whispering and talking to those standing next to them, and soon the whole place was ready to turn into chaos. Naruto looked at Anko and Sandaime and they gave him an encouraging smile, telling him to proceed. People of Konoha, please listen to me, Naruto said into the microphone, and as one the crowd fell back into silence. I'm sure this must be a shock to many of you, but please hear me out. I know many of you are surprised to hear that someone like me is the son of one of the greatest heroes of our village. For years I saw the Yondaime as my greatest hero myself. He was the man I wanted to become. He was my goal and still is my goal. To me he was everything I wanted to be, so you can imagine my surprise when I discovered that he was my father. He ended softly. My father loved this village and everyone living in it, and for this village he was willing to risk his life. On the night the Kyuubi attacked, he didn't hesitate to protect this village, and in the end he succeeded in saving us all, but so many lives had already been lost. I realize I'm a reminder of what happened that night, and for that I'm truly sorry. But my father entrusted me with a mission to protect this village just like he did, and I intend to honor his wish. He continued while grabbing a kunai from his holster. The people were listening to him with attention and saw him take out the kunai. Naruto placed the edge of the kunai in the palm of his right hand and made a deep cut, making blood fall on the ground. Like my father before me, I swear on my blood and the pain in my hand that I will protect this village until my last breath. I will fight all of Konoha's enemies and those foolish enough to try and hurt us. This is my promise to you all, and those who know me know that I never break a promise, ever. Naruto said before bowing deeply to the crowd. The stunned crowd was silent for a few seconds before several people started clapping in their hands and cheering for him. Slowly more and more people joined the clapping and cheering, filling the area with excitement. Sandaime was looking at the crowd with pride in his eyes. Never had he been so proud of his village, and it showed. Though many people would still need convincing, he believed Naruto had made a big step in gaining the acknowledgement from the villagers. After that, people started to go home still shocked from the revelations they heard, leaving only Naruto and his closest friends and surrogate family. Those who already knew Naruto's secret were happy that things had gone so well, but they also knew that many people were too shocked to fully understand what just happened. The next few days would really show in what degree Naruto would be accepted by the village. The others who didn't know anything about this were shocked, but now that they thought about it, they had to admit that the resemblance between father and son was obvious, and they were slightly embarrassed that they didn't make the connection by themselves. They didn't ask too many questions, knowing that this had been an emotional evening for Naruto, so they just said the goodbyes for the night and promised to meet up the next to help out with the repairs of the village. The next week went fast for the group. Each of them was assigned a task that would help rebuild the village. Academy students were ordered to help clean the debris from the destroyed buildings, and Genin were asked to help rebuild the outer wall that protected the village. Chunin and Junin were asked to take care of the remaining missions since they couldn't show any weakness and thus had to keep on taking the requests of their clients. Naruto, however, was asked to help in the village since Jiraiya could return any day with information about Tsunade and her whereabouts. Naruto seemed to enjoy helping out, and with the large amount of cage bunchins that he was able to make, he was a one-man's army. He and his clones took care of the buildings that were only partially damaged and that could be repaired, and by the end of the week most of the work was done to a great relief of the villagers. Speaking of the villagers, a lot of them had started to accept Naruto, and some even apologized for how they treated him when he was younger. Naruto smiled and said that the past is in the past and that they only had to worry about the present and the future. Especially the younger generations, those who had born several years before and after him, were seeing Naruto as a hero for saving the Sandaime and helping in the fights. The older people, however, were still wary and mostly set in their way of thinking, but that was something he could deal with. His friends were already over the shock and treated him no different than before. To them he was still Naruto, and being the son of the Yondaime wouldn't change that, which Naruto was grateful for. They had asked some questions, but that was the end of that, and they spent a lot of time together after their mission for the day was done. Naruto was sitting on the top of the Hokage monument looking at the village and thinking how much his life had changed over the past year. After years of struggling, he finally made progress on his way to being Hokage. He had made Chunin, and to him it seemed surreal, but he knew he had worked hard for it and that he deserved it. He wondered what would happen now and how things would play out for him and his friends. He sensed a familiar person approaching him and turned around. "Hey Gaki, your girlfriend told me I could find you here," Jiraiya said while sitting down next to him. "Yeah, I like to come here and think about everything that's going on in my life. Ever since I was a little kid, this place seemed to be my safe haven." "Weird, huh?" Naruto said with a smile. "Not really, everybody needs a place where they can relax. Mine is a hot spring where I can do research," Jiraiya said with a led grin on his face. "That reminds me, why didn't you tell me you had such a sea girlfriend? Care to share some details?" He continued, pulling out a notebook. "You answered your own question, Ero Senin. I better not hear that you used Anko-chan and me as inspiration or else," Naruto warned him. "PFFF Gaki, you're several decades too young to be any threat to the great Jiraiya-sama," he snorted. "That may be so, but I'm sure Tsunade would be glad to punish you in my stead. I do remember her having a super strong punch," Naruto said with a grin, making Jiraiya pale at the thought of being punched by one of Tsunade's fists. "Fine, you win," Jiraiya sighed. "Anyway, I need to talk to you, Anko and the old man. It's urgent, so go get her and meet me at the tower." Naruto nodded and used Shunshin no Jutsu to get home faster. Once there, he grabbed Anko, telling her that they were needed at the Hokage's office right away. She nodded and they started making their way over to the tower. They immediately went to the office and knocked before entering. "Ah, good you're here, please sit down," Sandaime said, looking very serious. "All right, Jiraiya, what's going on?" "First, I'll like to say that I have a lead on Tsunade, so we'll leave tomorrow before she gets away again," Jiraiya said while leaning against the wall. "Very well, Naruto, you heard the man. Be ready by 5 a.m. and meet us at the north gate," Sandaime ordered Naruto, who simply nodded. "What's next?" "Right, and this is the bad part. As you know, my spy network is one of the best in the world, and for years I have been gathering information on Orochimaru and his whereabouts. Several years ago I heard that he joined an organization called Akatsuki, and for quite some time I didn't know what their purpose was. No matter what I tried, information on them was almost non-existent and their actions were sparse," Jiraiya told them. "But about a year ago I heard an interesting story about them and I started researching them for up close, and what I found was anything but good. It seems that Akatsuki's members are some of the most dangerous Nukenin in the bingo book. It's safe to say that each and every one of them is classified as AS rank shinobi, and I have an idea of some of their identities. What I'm sure of is that Uchiha Itachi is one of them, so we can assume that they'll all be around his level," Jiraiya said, shocking them all. "Are you sure? That's most disturbing indeed. Do you have any idea what the goal is? Sandaime said, his pipe long forgotten. I did hear something, and that's why Naruto should hear this. I discovered that they are trying to gather the 9 Beiyu. For what I don't know, but they will be hunting down the Beiyu and the Jinchuriki pretty soon. Until now they have been gathering information, money and manpower, but it seems that this stage of their plan is reaching an end. Jiraiya finished before walking to the window and sitting down next to it. So they're after the QB. But how would they get it? I mean, Dad sealed it and you told me that it can never get free, right? Naruto asked, a little shaken by what he just heard. While it's true that Minato's seal is very strong, I believe that they have a way to extract the Beiyu from the Jinchuriki, otherwise they wouldn't start such an organization. Jiraiya said. What would happen to Naruto if the QB is extracted from him? Anko asked, concerned. Honestly, I have no idea, but I think it's best to assume that Naruto wouldn't survive the process. He answered softly. He didn't want to scare them, but he thought it was best that they knew what was going on. Keeping secrets from Naruto would only result in tragedy. He needed to know about what was going to happen. Anko-chan, no need to panic yet. Thanks Ero-Sennin for telling me all this. I guess there's only one option, and that's to train and get stronger so I can defeat them. Naruto while holding Anko's hand so she would calm down a little. Glad to hear you say that, Gaki, because I'm taking you as my apprentice from here on out. Anko here has done a great job in training you, but if you want to become strong enough to face S-rank shinobi, you'll need a lot more than she can teach you. No offense, Anko. Jiraiya said, giving her a little smile. None taken. You're right, Naruto will need your guidance, but I'll warn you right now, if you turn Naruto into AL you will regret it. Do I make myself clear? Anko said, advancing on the Sannin with the kunai spinning in her hand. Jiraiya quickly nodded, hoping she wouldn't use the kunai to cut off his most prized body part. Okay, calm down, Anko. I'm sure Naruto will be fine. Sandaime chuckled at the scene. A few hours later they had come up with a temporary plan to start Naruto's training and how they would proceed to deal with the Akatsuki. They would take care of a more detailed plan when Naruto and Jiraiya returned from searching Tsunade, and hopefully return with her ready to become the Godime Hokage. Naruto and Anko went home since Naruto had to leave in a few hours and they wanted to spend a little time together before he left. So Jiraiya, what do you think about Naruto? Sandaime asked his former student. The kid is strong, that's for sure, but he'll need a lot more training if he wants to have a chance against Akatsuki. Jiraiya said. That's why we're here, isn't it? To teach him and help him get stronger. Sandaime said while taking his pipe in his hand. Jiraiya nodded and said his goodbye as well, telling his teacher that he would see him at the gate the next morning. Sandaime nodded and walked over to the window where he could see the faces of the previous Hokages carved into the mountain. He looked over at the Yondime's head and couldn't help but feeling sad. He always thought that Naruto should have had his dad at his side to guide him through life, but seeing as that was impossible, he would gladly take on that duty. Minato, you and Kushina would have been so proud of Naruto. No matter what, I promise to both of you that I will do my very best to ensure his safety. There is no doubt in my mind that he will become the greatest Hokage of all times, and I'll make sure he gets there. Sandaime thought before he turned around and walked to the door, hoping to get some sleep as well. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.